Hello, hello, and welcome back to Strategy Snacks. Today, we are joined by physician and amazing health coach, Ali Novitsky. And Ali, I'm just so excited that you're here, and I would love for you to just say hi and tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having me and meeting you this year at your mastermind retreat. Literally was one of the highlights of my year because you were so amazing. And I think that you've just brought just this really fun energy. And it reminds me why I do what I do in the entrepreneur space. And I love your messaging and I love just you. So thank you.
All right,
So I'm
thank you.
Ali Novitsky and I am a physician. So I started as a pediatrician neonatologist. And then when I had my second baby, I started realizing that I really just wanted to find a different type of work-life balance. Not to say I didn't love medicine, I did, but I was working a lot of 24-hour shifts. And so what happened was I made this transition in my medical career where I was doing more of what do you say? I was reviewing cases for a neonatal team and it was done in the comfort of my own home, which was
Mhm.
great because it provided me to use my medical skill, but then I was home more. I had a more predictable schedule. And then during this time period, I realized this wasn't the end all. And that really what my passion was is health, everything health. It really is medicine. And so what I started doing is I really started fostering just my nutrition and my exercise and really my, whole health strategy and really started taking care of women physicians. So that's where my business started. And so now I do optimal health, mental, emotional, and physical health, and soon to be energetic health for
Ooh,
women. Yeah, it's really exciting. And so I just have found my passion. I've been doing it for the past 7 years. And I now, don't practice full-time clinically, but I did go ahead and get my board certification in obesity medicine. So I use a lot of that science into what I do with my health programming.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so you have now been an entrepreneur for a really long time, which is great because I know that a lot of times doctors will they'll talk about themselves as like the worst business people ever because you kind
Yeah,
of just get
yeah.
spat out into the world with like a whole lot of debt and not a whole lot of life experience. And suddenly they're like, okay, go thrive. And you're like, shoot. So, with that said, tell us about one of your biggest business wins or celebrations.
Okay, I love this so much because I would say one of my biggest wins was honestly just getting started. To be
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, like I know that sounds like a little bit, I don't know, maybe predictable, maybe not. However, what happened was when I was transitioning out of clinical medicine, I had a real identity crisis. So it's kind of like exactly what you said. You put your life on hold to be able to save lives. And now all of a sudden there's this business thing that comes in. And so it's really easy to pause in paralysis. In fact, my first coach I hired while I was starting this process of creating a business. And I said to her, I will never leave full-time clinical medicine because it's the most stable career out there. I literally said that. So the fact that I started was such a huge win because that's all that had to happen. And then as I started, my passion drove the business in the very beginning, and it still does to this date. And then I was able to titrate the amount of time I was practicing clinically. I was really able to titrate that down as my business grew. So everybody asks, well, when do you know, like doctors ask this. So when do you know when to leave like practice and go all in on your business? And my answer to that's always use the titration strategy, right? You just titrate it until one just starts really kind of taking the lead and you can't really control it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. I also just love like the use of the word titration in everyday parlance. Like when I think of titration, I think about Zoloft and titrating up, and I think of Pitocin and titrating up. So basically
Exactly.
anything baby related, which I thankfully is my greatest exposure to all things medical. But yes, that's true, right? You just slowly wean off of one and then you make sure that the other is working,
Yep.
doing well,
Yep.
and so that you could live without that medication, that dosage, whatever it is. So I love it. I'm going to start using that myself. Um, so along the way, along the journey, you started. And by the way, I actually don't think that's like basic at all because I think that sometimes people forget that part. It's like our heads can sometimes get stuck in where we want to be 5 years from now and forget that we also have to start to get there. But you started, you've done a lot, you've been really successful. What has been one of the biggest challenges or lessons that you've learned along the way?
I think one of the biggest challenges is probably comparison. So I think it's super easy, especially high achievers, right? Like, hello, I signed up for that like when I was born, and it was, well, before I was born, really. And so the idea of just social media is kind of in our face, and just the perception of what others may be doing. And I think that it's super easy to see an Instagram following that's 100K and above and thinking that that's success. And then looking at your own, I mean, for a while, I don't know, maybe I had a follower, and realizing that, yeah, and my business was profitable. And so what it looks like on the outside isn't really what's happening on the inside. And you can have, it's funny, I was watching Taylor Swift, and I'm like, gosh, like how amazing. And I'm sure she has such a team supporting her mental health, because that, right? Like, so I think like the biggest lessons are, as you grow, as you scale as an entrepreneur, be ready to up level your self-care, because it is literally a mental, emotional, physical, because it will test you in every way possible, ways you didn't know. And the more you desire to grow, the more tools you have to be able to take care of yourself. Or let's just put it this way, it will probably not scale so much.
That's not a threat or anything. It's just a fact. No, but yeah, it's totally true. It's totally true. And I think, I think when you talk about comparing, one of the things that I used to do a lot of is, so I've done plenty of comparing myself to people and their followers and all that. But I also have I have memories of comparing myself when I was working corporate to people who could survive on 4 hours of sleep a night. Be like, why can't I be like that person? I wish I could sleep 4 hours, work out, like journal in the morning, have my whole routine. And I finally had to get to a point where I was like, I just can't. So I'm not going to try, right? I'm not going to try to do that version of success, because it's not going to work. So I think it's interesting because it tends to be like in a lot of ways. And then if you objectively look at whatever shortcomings you're comparing, a lot of times you're like, well, actually, maybe I'm doing okay.
Totally. And you're right. And that's exactly what happens. So the biggest lesson is I have to stick into my own lane with what I know to be true. And that has really taken me out of the zone of comparison. And it's actually allowed me to really honor and celebrate other people in the game who are doing amazing things. It actually inspires me now. So what was once comparison was because I just didn't own my own stuff yet. And so now that I feel in my own lane, it's so easy. It feels so abundant to be able to say, oh, yeah, that's cool. And that's cool. And that's cool. And good for you. And how did you do that? Awesome.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. And then what is one strategy snack that you want to share with our listeners?
Oh, this is so good. So I was thinking about this one, and I have to say that one of the things that definitely comes up a lot, I would say, especially as you're growing your business, is definitely a lot of overwhelm as it relates to, well, how in the heck am I going to get people to know about me? How in the heck am I going to market this thing? Like, what am I supposed to do? How do you run a Facebook ad? I don't know. Do Facebook ads work? And so one of the things that I have found to be so extremely worthwhile is that anytime that I am out and about in a, I would say, business venture. So meaning, am I at a conference? Am I at a retreat? Am I at, I don't know, just like a dinner where it's a networking dinner? My goal is to make one meaningful connection, just one. That's it. I try to make one meaningful connection, somebody that I connect with on a very authentic level with really, there's no expectation or no strings attached. Usually what I find that when I do that, everything authentically falls into place. Like, it's super easy. It's like, oh yeah, you should come on my podcast. You should come on my podcast. Oh, I know this person. Oh, it really sets the stage for just a lot of goodness. That's all I'll say. So I'd say one connection, make one meaningful connection. Now, when I go to conferences and I speak, there may be 400 women there. My goal is to make one meaningful, authentic connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think that it's so easy to get trapped in the hundreds of thousands numbers, because that's what's considered like a big following on Instagram or whatever. And it's like, imagine, right? And I know people use this a lot, but imagine you were literally sitting with 100,000 people staring at you. You would probably shit your pants a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
So it's like, it's funny because it's what we think we want, but then the reality of it is actually, what I really, really want is like a room of 40 really engaged people.
Totally.
And so thinking about like the depth of the connection and like thinking about that one person, rather than feeling like you need to like wheel and deal and like be slinging business cards at all these strangers.
I wind up going home with half of my Staples print. I don't even give them out. So yes,
I love it. I
I'm
love
going to
it.
start bringing one gift basket. Here is for my one authentic connection. I'm bringing a gift basket.
I love, love, love that. Well, Ali, I just wish that we could talk forever, but strategy snacks are called snacks for a reason. So we're going to cut it up here. But before we do that, I want you to share with everyone, where can they find you? How can they connect with you? I know you don't just work with physicians. So if you are not a physician, definitely check out Ali's work. I am a part of her world. But yes, tell us more.
I love it. Thank you so much. So we've actually, to be able to really nail it in that we serve all women, we have rebranded our company to The Fit Collective. So my website is thefitcollective.com. That's it.
Great.
That's it. You can find everything there. We have a podcast, which currently it is called Life Coaching for Women Physicians. It's rebranding, totally different name. And we have some awesome programs. So we have Fit Women Collective, which is a monthly membership type program. We work on mental, emotional, and physical health. So it's basically, it's your one-stop shop to your health. And then we have CME programs for physicians, but I go by Ali Novitsky, MD on Instagram. So just those two places are the best places to find me. And we try to put out tons of content and really try to serve you on all different levels.
Amazing. Amazing. We'll drop all the links in the show notes. Ali, thank you so much for being here. To everyone listening, make sure that you connect with Ali. Make sure you learn from her so that you can feel your best as you are on this entrepreneurial journey, because we definitely all need that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.